the top 10 tough interview questions. This is that video that takes you through what I have researched as the top 10 toughest questions that interviewees have to handle. Hi, I'm Clementi, and I spent 2 decades navigating the financial services industry. I started on the bottom rung as an executive assistant, and 9.5 years later, I was a global managing director. That perspective, that journey has given me such valuable insight in terms of how to navigate the politics, how to break through glass ceilings, and how to be successful once you reach the top and stay at the top. And now I'm taking all that knowledge and all that energy to help everyone out there who's ambitious enough to say, I want to take the bull by the horns. I want to control my own destiny. I want to achieve greatness in my career, and I can achieve greatness. Let me soak in and learn as much as I can from those that have been there and done that. It's a tough world out there these days. AI coming and taking jobs, college degrees no longer a guarantee, so you need to arm yourself with the things nobody's teaching you. And taking it from someone who started at the bottom rung as an executive assistant, got all the way to the top, stayed at the top, and has now taken the time to figure out what it was that helped me do it, to figure out all the things that I believe were crucial to that success. The number one thing being embracing leadership, because I do believe, and I will continue to say, leadership is the greatest opportunity every single one of us will have to make a meaningful and lasting impact, not just for others, but for yourself as well. And if you stick with me on this journey, you'll see how. But today, we're going to go over those 10 questions that trip people up the most and how you could answer it in the most effective, honest, genuine way possible. So let's get into it. Number 1, tell me about yourself. You would not believe how many people get tripped up on the thing they should be most knowledgeable about, themselves. Why? Because they immediately go into the mindset of what do they want to know, what's important, how do I get my best out, how do I not say something that I shouldn't? But if you do the work prior to these conversations, if you prepare yourself, and everyone should do this, everyone knows their resume, they can recite the resume. That is your job history. The description of the jobs you held, that's not your story. You need to go back, start from your beginning, and start mapping out your journey. Write it down. Understand. And I went through this in detail in my previous video, but understand your starting point, what got you to the next point, the obstacles you had to hurdle, the lessons you had to learn, the successes you've had, the pivots you had, and it starts to uncover the whys, right? You only go in certain directions because they're serving a why you have. They're serving something that you're desiring, and so you pivot one way or the other. But map out your story, who you are, how and why you've gotten to where you are today. What you're going to notice when you do the work to map out your story is it will unearth the things you've learned, the lessons you've learned. It will unearth those things that you believe were the reason for successes. It will unearth your strong points. It will start to build up energy inside you when you start to feel that sense of pride of, yes, I got that promotion after having to go through all this. Yeah, that was a tough thing, but I learned all these things. Yeah, I got this done because I made so many connections and I collaborate well with others and they enjoy working with me, which helped me influence and achieve this thing, which got me to my next big role. And help me understand my purpose. Help me understand what I enjoy doing. Help me versus the things I have to do. Your story, know your story, and be able to speak about it in a powerful, concise way. Here's where I started. Here's what I learned from that role. Here's what worked for me. Here's what I liked, led me to this role, which led me to this role, which I didn't really love, which caused me to pivot and align more here. And all that has brought me to this position right now. What are they trying to get? They're trying to understand who you are beyond the words on the page of a resume. Any leader worth their salt is looking very carefully, not just at the skill sets, not just at the achievements, but the human being they're bringing into their team. Team dynamic, team chemistry. If you've led and you've led successfully, if you've led and you've led unsuccessfully, you will know how important chemistry is to a team. So they're trying to understand who you are. How will they understand who you are if you can't clearly articulate it? Of course, we can all sit there for hours and get there, but you don't have hours and hours. You have 2 minutes to tell your story, 2-3 minutes. And if you do it really well and you exude the energy, you may get 5 minutes because they get interested in you. And when they get interested in you, you are off to the races. So tell me about yourself. Prepare for that by writing down your story and knowing your story. And it surprises me to this day how few people know their story. Sometimes it takes me weeks when I'm spending time with people to unearth amazing things that they forgot that they achieved 10 years ago, 5 years ago, even 3 years ago. For some reason, we focus on all the negative and we forget all the positive. And sometimes it takes time to unearth all that. Sometimes it takes time to write that down and build your story. Spend a day and write your story and then write it in a more concise way and then get it down to a page. And you're going to be able to recite that in an elevator, in an interview, but you'll be able to answer that story. And I'm telling you, it will fill you with confidence. A little bit, maybe a lot more confidence going into that room. Tell me about yourself is your story. Who you are. Who are they bringing in? Question number 2. Why are you leaving your current role? What are they trying to find out? Are you intentional about your career and the moves you make? Or are you running from something or hopping? Here, you want to communicate that you are mature enough to have reached a point in your life that the place you get up and go to every day needs to be aligned with your values, your purpose. You need to understand the impact you're making on the mission. And when that's not true, it's time to move on. And you're mature enough, and you're confident enough, and you're courageous enough to make those moves when any of that is misaligned. That's what you want to communicate. That tells the person on the other side, wow, we have someone who believes in themselves, knows who they are, knows the value, and knows the impact they want to make. And when that's not aligned with where they are, they're ready to make a move. That's the message you want to get across. And you don't want to say it in a way that is careful or seems or nervous about what you're saying or apologetic about it. No, very honest and unapologetic about knowing your value and how important it is to choose the right environment that you put yourself in. No apologies for that. That's how you answer that question. And bottom line, the mindset here is you are not escaping, you are selecting. Number 3, what is your greatest weakness? Or talk to me about some of your weaknesses. Here, what are they trying to get at? They want to see how self-aware you are. And there's a bit of honesty here, vulnerability here. And here's where you just have to be honest and not just throw out these canned responses that interviewers are hearing all the time. It's a blah, blah, blah. Canned response that's a safe response. Again, the assessment here is, do I have someone who's genuine and honest and self-aware? And that doesn't mean you have to open up the kitchen sink. I'm bad at this, I'm bad at that. No, but there are things we all struggle with, every single one of us, every day. And it takes years and years just to get better at it, let alone solve it. And it shows maturity and confidence to be able to speak up about some of these things. And what you want to do is you want to create a situation where the person on the other side of the table resonates. Very likely, if you're honest and you're thoughtful about weaknesses that most of us have to deal with, very likely the person on the other side of the table struggles with that as well. But if you just throw out these canned responses that they've heard a million times, bring a uniqueness to it. Why is it a weakness of yours? Maybe it's something like, I can be very direct at times. And I know that direct is good, but it must be paired with context and respect. Maybe you say, when I believe in something so much, I fight really hard for it. That's something that a lot of people deal with and they struggle with, because if they're really good and they believe in their heart about something and they're fighters, they don't want to give up, right? But in the corporate world, there's a way to do things. So you might say, I've learned to pick my battles, and flexing in the right moments can build stronger alignment and relationships. Remember, we're all flawed, but being honest about it, actually taking a look at the things that you're working hard on and articulating it in a way that is genuine with an example like I gave, whether it be the one where you are too direct and you've learned XYZ, or you're super passionate about something and you're a fighter, but you've learned XYZ. Those are going to be your best answers. Next, number 4, describe a challenging situation and how you handled it. So what are they looking for here? Look, things will inevitably get tough. And so when things get tough, how do you show up? And do you have any examples of that? And this is a phenomenal opportunity when you get this question to demonstrate leadership ability. And make no mistake, I keep saying it, leadership is the great differentiator. There aren't a lot of great leaders, unfortunately. And I don't mean that the people that are in the positions aren't good people. I'm saying good people that are not great leaders. They haven't invested in it. They haven't taken a care to care for it, or they're just trying to make it one day at a time themselves. Doesn't matter. There aren't a lot of great leaders. So whenever you have an opportunity to demonstrate pure, honest, good, impactful leadership, make sure you are seizing the opportunity. And this is one of those questions. So you prepare for this and you look back at situations in your journey, in your story where it wasn't a great situation. And we all have those. And you feel like you showed up in a way that was positive and impactful. It could be morale was down for one reason or another. There was lots of uncertainty in a given time or situation. And you were in a position to show up with a smile and provide transparency with open and honest communication. Maybe you say you found that in those times where there's so much uncertainty, doing your best to provide certainty in situations with whatever you could provide certainty on, or communicating constantly with what you know and what you could share, and not just hiding away and keeping people in the dark. That was a time where you could say that proved to be important for those people, so that when we came out on the other end, people said, thank you for getting me through that, talking me through, being somebody who came in with a smile, acknowledging what you didn't know, but also being clear about what you did know. And again, each of these questions, it comes with a little prep in terms of being ready for those things and understanding your story. When I talk about knowing your story, it comes with these things. When you go through your journey and you say, wow, that was a tough time. How did we get out? Did I do anything really great that helped us get through that time? Or maybe I didn't and I regret it and I learned from it, and next time I did do it. That's what I mean by understanding your story. And that's what I mean by unearthing your value. You cannot wing these things. And preparing is not being disingenuous. Preparing is just knowing and being ready and being able to call on these things when you need them. This is a great question. If you get asked this question, you should be hopping happy all over the place, because this is a great question. Any question where you get to demonstrate leadership ability is a great question. Number 5, tell me about a time that you failed. Now this puts people back. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. This is the end. No, we all fail. I've failed. You failed. We all fail. Everyone has failed. Pick the person at the very top of your firm. Interestingly enough, the people who achieve greatness usually fail a lot because they're willing to fail. They're willing to fall down, learn, and get back up. And then they accumulate all these lessons that other people who are afraid to fail don't have. And they build wisdom and experience, and they're able to get through the tough things better than all those other people. So failure is inevitable. You will fail, embrace it. But when you go through your story, figure out where you failed. Pick 3 that stand out, that you feel comfortable talking about, and call on them when this question comes. Here, they're looking for, again, how self-aware you are, how vulnerable you're willing to be, What did you learn from that situation? How are you not going to have that happen again? Call on those examples, and we all have them. And even better, show how you turned a failure into something that became a good thing. Lemons into lemonade, as they say. You could say something like, I was managing a team. I saw things weren't going well in a certain area, and I avoided the tough conversation for way too long, and it came back to bite me and the entire team. That won't happen again. It could be something like that. It could be something as simple as that. This is where trust is built. Owning it and never make anything up. Just be real. Be real. Number 6, how would colleagues describe you? So what are they after here? They're after your brand. What is your brand? What is your reputation? And be honest here. Are you tough? Would people say you're demanding on one side, but then would they say you're loyal, you're a partner, you're trustworthy, you're a multiplier, nobody works harder than you? Just a couple of words like that. Honestly, I believe people would say, I am a leader. I'm a leader because I learned that in order to lead, you need to be able to multiply your impact. In order to multiply your impact, you need to be able to influence people. In order to influence people, they need to trust you. In order for them to trust you, they need to know you care. And how do you care? With appreciation, right? Trust, empowerment, opportunity. You promote people, you pay people. That's how people would describe me. How about that for an answer? And own it when you say it. Number 7, what impact did you have in your last role? Now, this is where they're looking for receipts. And if you watched my previous video where we walked through the entire interview process and what I believe is a very robust way to approach and prepare for an interview, we talked about receipts. It's one thing to know your story, show up with energy, know your value statement and your value proposition. Just like you go through your story and you understand your failures, understand your accomplishments, your achievements, your impact. And this is bottom line impact, okay? Understand your receipts where you made a bottom line impact towards the mission and goals of the team or company you were with. And be able to provide examples. I simplified this process, which enabled us to do this. I worked hard to understand and simplify a process that enabled us to communicate. I simplified a complex process, which enabled us to do X, Y, Z. Morale was low and I did X, Y, Z. Energize the team, which enabled us to ultimately do this. Something you did, something you drove, something you led that is understandable, that drove bottom line results, impact, that drove a promotion. Some of the best ways to align that with is when you look at your story or even your resume and you see you got promoted here, they're going to see that. What led to that promotion? Promotions aren't just given for free, so what led to that promotion? Know it, own it, say it. Number 8, where do you see yourself in 3 to 5 years? Now, what are they looking for here? They're looking for ambition grounded in reality. So if you come in and go, I want to be the CEO in 5 years, if that's what you want, nobody's going to take that ambition away from you, but I wouldn't say that. No, ambition grounded in reality. What does that mean? You want to demonstrate that you do and you should want an upward trajectory, but all founded on your contributions. You expect of yourself to come in, add tremendous value, and be recognized for that and get more opportunity for bigger and better. Like I see myself leading bigger teams, leading bigger initiatives, getting bigger results for the firm, rising by lifting others, creating more leaders, multiplying my effect. I see myself helping shape the culture by developing new leaders, solving harder problems that really move the business forward. You are acknowledging that you want to see a trajectory, but by way of the contributions and how that trajectory could actually result in bigger contributions for the firm, for the company. It's vision without ego, direction without fame. Number 9, how do you handle conflict? This is where emotional intelligence and courage comes. You hear it a lot now. EQ. Does he or she have EQ, emotional intelligence? Here's where you want to show how you protect people and performance. This is the kind, not nice thing. For those of you that don't know, I talk about the importance of knowing the difference between kind and nice. When you're in a position of leadership, you want to be kind, not nice. Nice is someone who tries to keep the peace and avoids the tough conversations just to keep the peace. That's not doing anybody any good. People need to understand where they need to get better, but you can do it in a kind way. Kind is, I'm going to be direct and I'm going to be honest, but I'm going to do it with a caring heart. I'm going to give you advice because I want to see you get better. And I don't want to avoid the conversation so that it ends up coming around to haunt us later. That's kind. Nice is weak. Kind is strength and courageous and empathetic. So when you're faced with a conflict, you need to bring that kind approach and that courageous approach, an empathetic approach to those situations. And that's what they're looking for here. Are you able to bring empathy with an appreciation for the required performance? I address things early and honest with empathy. And here's an example or two where I did that and it worked out well. I lead with understanding. I always want to understand the perspective of the other person. And number 10, why us? Why would you like to work here? Why this position? What interested you in this position, in this company? And this is where, again, if we go back to that previous video I did where I talk about preparing for the interview holistically, there's a part at the very beginning I say the foundation is do your work on the company, do your work on the mission, listen to whatever videos there are from the leadership of that organization or any of their writings or postings so that you understand who they are, what they are, and where they're going. And you get a good sense of if it aligns with who you are and what you want and where you're going. And if you can do that homework and they do align, well, this question is easy. When it is not easy is when you didn't do that work. When you have no idea about the company, you don't understand the mission, you don't know who the CEO is or the leadership team is, you haven't done any homework on them, that's going to leave you unprepared. And by the way, you're doing yourself a disservice because you want to go somewhere that's aligned with your values and your mission and your purpose and the skill sets and capabilities that you bring to the table. But if you do that, boy, oh boy, this is yet another one of those questions where you should be waiting for. These 10 most difficult questions are not difficult at all when you prepare and you're energized about who you are and where you're going and what this company is and who they are and where they're going. This is your why matched with their why. A simple, clear, concise, powerful answer sounds something like this. Your company's mission is clearly aligned with my values and talent, and I believe I can help accelerate it. You are clearly building something meaningful here, and I want to build it with you. This is that mutual selection moment. Again, go back and watch that other video. Mutual selection moment. So there you have it, the top 10 tough interview questions, which don't have to be tough if you prepare the way we discussed in this video and my previous video. Go back and watch that if you haven't watched that. And if this video gave you any value, please subscribe. It really will help with the mission I'm on, which is to take all the lessons I've learned coming from the bottom and rising to the top, all the things I learned that make up the formula of what were crucial to my successes. And in this time of AI and automation and taking jobs away and the value proposition of a college degree, no longer a guaranteed success, it is crucial to me that I do everything I can to share those lessons, share the formula that worked for me so that you can rise and have a great, successful, and rewarding career. And I believe it all starts with embracing leadership. Remember, when it comes to these interview questions, own your edge, own your story, own your value, and own the room. Until next time.